This video is brought to you by Sim Racing Center. Today, we are going to be showing you the best way to tackle the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we're also going to be giving you a top setup to make you go even faster. Thankfully, the hot laps are not done by me, they're done by the guys over at Sim Racing Center. So let's watch on board and see if we can assess this lap, dropping it down into third gear momentarily as you go through turn one, up into fourth, short shifting again into fifth. Now on the power and get the DRS open, move the car over to the left-hand side, use all the track and even more, braking about the 100-meter board, down into third, and again short shifting into fifth. Now into the S's section, a little dab of brake, dropping it down into fifth, then taking the left-hander up into sixth gear, avoid the curb on the right-hand side, braking all over the curb on the left, hit the apex, third, up into fourth once again, now into this tricky double left-hander, into seventh gear, braking just as it starts to go to the left, but stay away from that curb on the left-hand side, then meet the apex perfectly and straighten the car up as you accelerate off of the corner, up into eighth gear now and braking hard in between the 150-meter boards, up in a fifth gear, up in a sixth, and then through this right-hander. Again, just avoid the curb on the right-hand side as it will spin you out. Use all the curb on the left, though, and attack this right-hander as much as you possibly can. Into fifth and then into sixth as we head down in towards the final corner for a hot lap around this Bahrain circuit. Braking after the 100-meter board there, dropping it down into fourth gear, using all the curb and more on the left-hand side. DRS open and across the line, and that is a hot lap of the Bahrain GP. And now we're just going to do that again, but break it down even more, showing you the exact points that you need to be braking around this circuit. So here we go down into turn one. You want to be braking about 110, 120 meters before the corner. So before you get to the 100-meter braking board, again, dropping it down to third gear, but you really want to short shift. Short shifting is so important on this F1 22 game. So short shift up in a fourth before you've even got into turn two, and then short shift into fifth after turn two. Braking here now around the 100-meter board. So once that 100-meter board has disappeared, hard on the brakes as you head into this next right-hander, and then you'll want to be dropping it down the gears into third momentarily once again before you put it up into fourth, before you start to get onto the power. Heading into this right-hander, a little dab of brake just after the curb, after you leave the curb on the left-hand side, and then drop it down into fifth gear. Hug it on the right, hug it on the left. Avoid the curb too much on the right hand. You can touch it a little bit, but don't go all over it. Into the left-hander, braking here. Now, this is a tricky one. You kind of have to get used to it and make it more muscle memory when it comes to braking into this corner, but hard on the brakes, dropping it down to third, and then again up into fourth gear for the short shifting to get the traction out of the corner. Now, the trickiest turn on pretty much the whole entire F1 calendar, heading down into the next corner there. You want to be braking halfway through the apex on this corner, and then use all of the track on the right-hand side. Avoid the curb, though, and then just meet a late apex. Try and get the car hooked around, and then from third up in a fourth once again, short shifting as much as you possibly can. Heading into this left-hander, the braking point hasn't really changed between games, using that little light blue painted part of the outside of the track there. That's going to be your braking reference down into fifth gear, and then really attack these next couple of corners, but avoid the curb again on the right-hand side because it will spit out the car. This curb, though, you can use a lot of it. Again, sort of guesswork, but you can kind of use the barrier, I suppose, on the right-hand side, turning orange, or even the Rolex sign coming into frame at that point of view. So that's going to be a reference point, dropping it down to fourth, meeting the apex perfectly, and again, using all the track on the exit. That's the important part, to go as quickly as you possibly can around this circuit. Use the track and more. As you can see, opening up the corner, going all the way over the curb on the left-hand side. This is where you want to brake just after the 100-meter board, just like last year's game, dropping it down to fourth gear, and again, using the curb on exit. Don't run off the track, of course, but get the DRS open, come across the line, and of course, that is a lap. Before we get into the setup, let's talk a little bit about our sponsor, Sim Racing Center. Sim Racing Center offers the best and latest F1 22 league racing setups to make sure your car is running as fast as it can. Combined with the race preparations they sell, which shows tire data, the best strategy, and a lot more to ensure you will slap the competition and be on top of your game. With these products, all you need to do is focus on your driving. If that's something you struggle with, though, get a one-to-one coaching session with esports or esport academy drivers Sim Racing Center also offers race engineers like you have seen on the League Racing series that I run on this channel, who will help you live during the race with your best strategy. Now, this is a company that I use for all of my setups. When it comes to setting up the car, I'm absolutely clueless. So these guys point me in the right direction to go as fast as I possibly can. And if you want to stay up to date with the best setups, make sure you use the code Hayden at checkout for 10% off. So then on to the setup, which of course has been supplied to us by the Sim Racing Center. So in terms of the wings, we want to go front wing aero 21 and rear wing aero 26. Now the wings are slightly different this year, going from 0 to 50 instead of 0 to 11. So there's more to play with and a greater chance to be more precise with your setups. Moving over to the transmission, and that we are going to be running 70% on the differential adjustment on throttle and 50 on the off throttle. Moving over to suspension is going to be the same as last year, so the meta hasn't really changed for now. It is going to be front camber all the way to the right, rear camber to the left, front toe to the left, and rear toe to the left as well. These wheels slightly change between track, but for now this is staying very much the same as last year's game. On the suspension, and this is going to be 1 on the front suspension, 5 on the rear suspension, 1 on the front anti-roll bar, 8 on the rear anti-roll bar. We've also gone for 7 on the front ride height and 3 on the rear ride height to try and make you as quick as you possibly can around this Bahrain circuit. In terms of the brake pressures and brake bias, that's very much similar to last year's game. 100% on the brake pressure and 50 on the bias. And then tire temperatures, we're going 23.8 for both the front tires, both the right and the left, and then 23.0, so the maximum on the rear tires. So there we go. I hope that helps, and let us know what track you would like to see next. Thank you to our sponsor Sim Racing Center for supplying us with the hot laps and their setups. And don't forget to use code Hayden for 10% off at checkout. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you on the next one.